not fucking dead, you bastards. And by bastards, I of course mean Ben.
Hello.
And Eddie.
Hello.
And of course you're listening.
What a different intro.
Yeah, I know, just a little bit, but I felt it needed to be said because, I mean, for one, last week you went on about me being dead. The week before you suggested I was just skiving and wasn't ill at all. It's very inconsistent messaging, guys. I mean, neither feels wrong really at any point, but it's very irritating to say the least.
I think the messaging is quite consistent.
Yeah.
Disdain.
Skiving and dying at the same time. Right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Disdain is, that is an accurate message you've been giving. Thanks for that. But yes, I am back. And welcome to Grumpy Gamers, I suppose I should add at some point, shouldn't I?
yeah, let people know what we're listening to. I mean, Kirk's not here, but Kirk actually said he might be back next week because we're going to be talking about Sonic Frontiers next week.
Oh, it's the game he might actually play, not a racing
Absolutely.
game.
Absolutely, a game he may actually play.
Yeah,
Yes,
he told me he's going to take back Modern Warfare just to get it. Yeah.
Just because of that, not because of the embargo or anything like that. No.
You mean the boycott? Yeah, the old boycotts. He's back on the boycott. No, he's not.
He joined us in Warzone the other night.
Yeah,
he's back with the squad, Warzone squad. Did better than you, Ben.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was going to say that doesn't surprise, does it? But yeah, it's,
no doubt, buddy.
I bet he was a hell of a lot more toxic as well.
Oh, yeah, especially he had a few beers, and by the end of it, I think Jack had to have a couple things to say, like, what the fuck are you talking about, guy?
Actually, Eddie, you did say Kirk is better at me at gunfighting, which is obviously the main goal of the game. But
if you take away gunplay from COD, then it's not much of a game.
No. So he's better at the main objective of the game.
But he's not. He's like he'll run into an open field for no reason. Yeah, and it's frustrating.
He's a lure unto himself. Yeah.
I believe if we were streaming, we would have called it "Buying Kirk Back" game, not Warzone. That's what we would have called it.
Right. Yes.
Running from buy station to buy station, just buying Kirk back.
Lovely.
Fantastic. And now, Ben, now you've said that, everyone can be even more disappointed when he doesn't show up next week.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yes.
That's ideal. Yeah, when he's going to a firework event with his roommate or something.
Yeah, something like that.
A very good reference to roommate. That's only for our hardcore listeners to know that reference. Very good. Alienate the audience already. Love it.
It's what I do best, Eddie. It's what I do best. Anyway, we are, of course, going to take you through the news, the new releases, a bit of what we've been playing, and our feature, which this week is concerning the hyperbole around graphics in games. Which, I mean, Ben, this was all your idea, or more accurately, your rant. But I think it's going to be a good one to discuss.
Yes.
But before that, we should mention that you're not streaming this week, are you, Ben?
No, so I finished Dead Space 2 last week. So that was like 5 streams long or something. So that was good. Thank you to those who watched and also anybody who's caught up on YouTube. But this week, I think, Eddie, you're going to be streaming, right?
Yeah, just going to do a bit of Rocket League.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
Wow.
I like that. This we're entering. I mean, I think this month is bigger than February, March for games. I think, and
that's a big comment.
Yeah.
I've got to be playing some games. That's all I'm saying. I've got to be playing some games. You've got a lot to get to before next week's podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think you only say that now. The hype from Elden Ring has been gone long enough. Before that,
but there's just so many games this month, guys. There's so many games,
and they do always say quantity over quality. Yes, yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely, yeah, that is one of the main things that I subscribe to.
Nice. Well, before we jump into the news, I did actually have a chance to listen back to our last 2 podcasts that I wasn't on, guys.
Good. Yeah.
I just had a few notes to bring out, other than the constant comments on my health. Which were very hurtful and pointed, but yes. Firstly, Eddie, it's homunculi.
Oh, okay.
That's how you pronounce that word. It's used quite routinely in several places, but yeah, homunculi. That really wound me up. Secondly, I really thought I'd avoided all the Call of Duty conversation, and then you've included it in what we've been playing again, Ben. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
I mean, when you got a good game, you got to talk about it.
Yeah.
That is the kind of prerequisite of a gaming podcast, yeah.
Absolutely.
You can't just ignore it, Pete.
No.
I mean, you said good, which is where it gets all horribly wrong.
Okay.
Pete, don't insult people now. Come on.
Openly insulting you, only insulting others by proxy. The other thing I thought I'd note is I thought it was really good that we had a chance to respond to the emails in from Sith Lord and a couple of others.
Yes, yeah.
Really, really like that bit. Well done, guys. Yeah.
It's good. We acknowledge if somebody emails in, then we've got to acknowledge because that is, we always like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those were kind of the main things that stuck out for me. But then I know our format really well, don't I? I also, by the way, did want to reference the fact that we have. Well, actually, I'll do it in its time and place. Let's move to the news so I can bring it up. Yeah, shall we do that?
That's Jesus. You just you just put something out there and just reeled it right back in. All right, never mind.
I'll bring it up when we get to it.
Let's get to the quick news then. The quick news: Diablo 4 is rumored to be releasing in April next year, and to be announced at the Game Awards in December, and supposedly a beta for it in February. So that sounds pretty cool. But then Mikey Barra, who's I think is the president or co-president, I think he's president now of Blizzard, said, "Don't believe everything you read." So. Conflicting information there, but the first story was on Eurogamer, so I guess it probably is true. The not quite news. Next one, Overwatch 2 is getting a new hero on the 6th of December called Ramatra.
Does this qualify even for quick news? Come on,
Ben, you really do like. I know we had a go a few weeks ago about just putting shite in the quick news, but.
Did you ever go at me?
Yeah, we openly, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's water off a duck's back. I didn't even notice.
Evidently, by the shite that you have brought to this quick news section.
Just from that one line.
So just to repeat, Overwatch is getting a new hero, guys. New hero. Next one, Warhammer Vermintide 2 is free on Steam right now, but I think there's only limited copies, so that will be for a limited time. Yeah, I think it's only limited number of keys can be got for free. Are you interested in that game, Eddie?
No, that's the first-person one, isn't it? Vermintides.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no interest in it. It just looks like a hack and slash. I like Warhammer because most of the games are strategy.
It is.
I'm glad I messaged you about it and you didn't reply, so that's cool.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have brought it up here. If I didn't respond to you then yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just all about you, Eddie. We've established this. There's listeners. There's people.
Yeah, but the listeners listen because of me. So.
This
cool,
by the way, was another thing from the podcast 2 weeks ago, guys, that I should reference. Eddie, you just accepted Ben calling himself your line manager. Just openly accepted that.
To keep Ben happy, you just need to give him these little wins.
Yeah, he knows his place, Pete. Don't worry about it. Right, there's a short leak of a scene from Kojima's newest game in development, supposedly called Overdose. He's also said that he wants the studio to remain independent as long as he's alive. So any rumours about Xbox and Microsoft potentially purchasing Kojima's studio, probably not true. Digital Foundry has described God of War Ragnarok on PS5 as like a maxed out PC port with flawless performance, which actually in today's day and age, like... We don't get many comments about that with games just coming out, do you? Like, it's usually they need a patch or two, but these PS exclusives really do dial up the quality on day one, don't they? So, and that's Digital Foundry saying that, so that's pretty good. Yeah, the next one, just when we thought all was quiet on the NFT front, we haven't heard about those for a while, have we? Square Enix have announced a new NFT-based game called Symbiogenesis.
Excellent work, yeah.
Yeah, so great. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 ranked online multiplayer won't be arriving till the new year, so that's probably slightly disappointing for those who just like to play the multiplayer. Then we have The Last of Us TV series.
Wait, Ben, so what you're playing at the moment and it's not ranked? You're just playing like casual?
No, it's just skill-based matchmaking, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So how does it?
Yeah, it's skill-based matchmaking, but it's not technically ranked. You go up in rank, obviously. You have a rank, like
a level,
like
yeah.
like a level. But it's not skill-based rank. But there is skill-based matchmaking. It's just that there is no actual ranked modes. You've got the game modes and everything, and go into that. But yeah, at the moment, I think everyone is just piling on ranking guns for various different modes to come. So it doesn't really matter that there's not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I guess that's not too bad because then people who do play it competitively are using this time just to level up their guns, aren't they? So
absolutely, and it's things like the snipers. People are using this time to level up snipers because once the skill-based matchmaking gets sorted properly and those good people just put in demon lobbies, it's going to be so much harder for them to do so. So you want to be leveling up the guns that are harder to level up now and stuff like that. So it's don't forget, like, Call of Duty is now a games as a service. Like, they're adding stuff all the time. Like, this is what they do. Their roadmap, Warzone 2, like the other stuff coming. It's just this is a game that people play all the fucking time. So yeah, there's enough to do on it. Yes, The Last of Us TV show debuts on the 15th of January. I think it's been given that date officially. So it's on Sky. I think it's Sky Atlantic in the UK and HBO in the US.
Okay.
Are
you going to watch
a couple of days ago?
I assume you are.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think it'll be really good. I can't imagine them putting that franchise out there for them not to have given it the best opportunity to be good.
I didn't know it's HBO as well. I mean, HBO produced some bangers as well.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
They do spend the money on them, yeah. So, I mean, I'm guessing, Eddie, you're like me and don't have Sky Entertainment. You've just got sports. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those that I'm not going to get it for the TV show as well, so it's I can't get excited about it anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I have access to Sky Atlantic, so yeah, I think I'll be watching, but. Next one, Dune Spice Wars. That's a game that I know you both are interested in. That's coming to PC Game Pass. It was just announced the other day at some event. The date is unknown, but you can assume that it's either November or very, very close because you don't announce something coming to Game Pass because your sales are slow. So unless it's coming imminently to Game Pass, you don't. But they just use the word soon. So. But you guys, I'm sure, will be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, very, very excited about that.
Yeah, we'll be playing that day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, because how much is it? I remember when it came out, it was a bit too much for me, so I was never going to buy it. I think 30 quid, which isn't a bad price, but for that type of game, I think 30 quid is too much. So
yeah, well,
it's not a bad price.
Because there were only 4 factions.
That's it, Pete. Because they were going to add some more stuff in, weren't they?
Yeah, a lot of games do that.
I'm still sort of expecting more factions before I jump on it.
Yeah,
like having a Civ type game with only 4 factions seems a bit off to me.
It has had really good reviews though, hasn't it?
Stunning reviews, and it looks great from what I've seen. So maybe I'm just being a bit too harsh, but I'll find out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about it on the show, no doubt. Then, on Wednesday, it's just announced today. This is Monday. It's just announced on Wednesday that there'll be a Nintendo Indie Direct. So if you're listening to this today, then it's today.
Oh, it's an Indie Direct.
It's an Indie Direct, and we'll be recapping that, no doubt.
Just about to say, is that one you're going to make us watch, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to make you watch
Always
it.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
As your line manager, I'll ensure that
you're a harsh boss.
Yeah, I am. Last one, Dwarf Fortress, the Steam edition, comes out on the 6th of December, and I think this is a slightly better graphical version, and I think, Pete, you've put just the 20 years in development.
yeah, that was this is one I spotted, and they've actually added some graphics to it, so it's no longer ASCII, which I'm really looking forward to this. It must be said, although it does depend on the price.
I've had it on my wish list for a couple of years, I think, and it's always just said coming soon, and now it says 6th of December. Holy shit!
Indeed.
Oh, that's so cool.
RimWorld's grandfather.
Yes, this is the reason why RimWorld exists.
Yeah, massively so, and a great game in its own right for its time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to playing that with some actual.
I'm really excited about that actually.
Good stuff. See, that wasn't too bad. That quick news was relatively quick.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't ask for comment on every single one of them, which is good. That's perfect. I like that.
Yeah, I motored through. I made it quick. There you go.
That's
There
how
you go.
we
I took the criticism on board
Yes, indeed.
when I realised it was criticism.
Yes, open, overt criticism that slid off the duck's back. Yeah.
Right, main news. Go.
Cool. PSVR 2 price reveal. Sony has announced official launch and pricing details for the PlayStation VR 2, its new virtual reality headset designed to work specifically with PlayStation 5, Eurogamer reads. The PSVR 2 will launch on 22nd of February 2023 and cost £530. In the US, that's $550. In Europe, that's €600. For that price, you'll get a PSVR 2 headset and its controllers, plus a pair of stereo headphones. As a reminder, the PS5 console itself, which of course you'll need to use the PSVR 2, is now priced at £480, or $390 for the digital version, following Sony's recent price hike. So, in summary, you're looking over $1,000 if you want to get the nice VR.
Yeah, a cool
That's not even for a game as well. It's
Not even a game.
Not even with a game.
Oh, Ben, there is a they're doing a special. They're doing a special. Oh, here we are. A pricier bundle will pack in the PSVR 2 launch title Horizon Call of the Mountain, and that will cost you £570.
Ooh, a cool 570.
So only £1,100, and you'll get the set with one game.
So hold on. So I'm guessing that game retails at about 40 quid, and they've just added that on to the price and called it.
It's not really a bundle, is it? It's just the game plus.
Buying a game and in addition, yeah.
It makes you feel better
Sure.
about it. It's included. Maybe it's safe.
Yeah, because I would probably vomit if I handed over that money and basically got nothing in return.
Well, yeah, because there's not even backwards compatibility, is there?
Well,
So.
yeah, so that's What do you guys think? I want to die when I hear that price tag.
Well, I mean, look at it. I said before that I thought it was going to be about 500 quid. So I was a bit shy on that one. I think this actually, if you look at other big VR headsets out there, you look at the Quest and such, and the Oculus or Meta, whatever you call them, the Quest 2. This is comparable they're all expensive. They are very expensive. The difference here being that you have to own a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Now there are versions of VR where you don't actually have to have a computer attached to it, like the lesser ones. But I mean, this is the price that they go for, and Sony are entering that bit. If you look at the specs of the PSVR 2, they're incredibly impressive. The issue that I have with it at this price is not that you're not getting a lot for your money, because you're getting a very good headset for that at that price point. The problem is VR is not mainstream. It's not. This price does nothing to encourage it going mainstream.
Yes.
And I think that's a real issue with VR in general. Absolutely. I think it's a real issue with VR. Like PSVR 1, what they did great there was that they came in below everyone else. It's 300 quid or something like that, and then cheaper as time went on. It was an entry level, but now they've gone up this, and I assume they're not taking as big a loss on it. Only 5 million PSVRs were sold off the back of 117 odd million PlayStation 4s. So, from the PlayStation 5s that are out there now, I can't imagine you're going to get many PSVRs being sold. You'd be lucky to get 1 million out to people.
I mean, you're looking at like 3.5% uptake.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what are you? The issue with VR is it has to go mainstream. You have to have collusion. You have to have all these headsets working together on games to get, because you have to have developers want to push stuff out there. But if they don't want to put exclusives on PSVR 2, because what's the fucking point? I'll go sell any.
Yeah.
Like, I find it really hard at these levels to imagine VR getting good games.
Yeah, it is difficult to see that happening, isn't it? Because they're just not going to be able to find the funding to do it justice. No one's going to pay for an exclusively VR game at this point. Like, And I mean, I get why Eddie says he wants to die, to be honest, because I know you said £500 beforehand, but costing more than the console sort for an add-on kind of hits wrong as well. And I don't think there's the reward at the end of the tunnel for paying that price.
It's a lot of it. Just considering what it is, it's so much money. Like £500. My car cost me £800. Like,
I think that says more about the car than it does the PSVR 2.
It says a lot about my spending. To put it in perspective, I bought a game this week and it cost me 86p.
That doesn't put it in perspective as much as you think it does.
Again, says more about what you buy.
I could buy like 600 of these games against this VR.
I mean, the one perspective that you have said there, I mean, the PSVR, like, I don't know what everyone else is like, and I know you guys haven't played much VR or what have you, but I did have a PSVR, and it did have a tendency to make me feel ill after.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying.
Ben, do you not
and I never really got used to it.
Do you remember me trying yours and it not fitting my head, so I couldn't see it?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I have told that story many times. And I remember Jack trying it and getting really into it, and then just feeling ill for like 3 hours. Yes. And that's the problem with it. Like, it does have that effect. And I know you probably will get used to it. And now that the resolution in each eye is higher, like, I think you might find that the motion sickness kind of goes away a little bit because it's not as grainy and low res. But I think that you only play VR for like maybe an hour at a time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue with it. Like, Eddie, what you've just said there about buying a game, you might put 20 hours into that game or something.
Yeah.
And it then, like, to get that value out of your PSVR, like, you've really got to be playing it a lot. I mean, people find it hard to justify buying a PlayStation 5. I mean, both of you would have a PS5 if it were cheaper.
Oh, God, yeah. That's why I got the Xbox, because I did the mental gymnastics and I went, yeah, that's worth getting. But
yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to justify anything at that kind of price. And this is a luxury good. And for that reason, that's the issue with mainstream. Like, VR isn't. I don't think it's going to get there at this price point.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. Agreed.
So it's a shame. It's a real shame. Yeah. Not because you're not getting good value for money, because it might actually be good value for money for what the kit is. I'm not saying that. It's just a shame in general that I just don't think it's.
Well, this is the thing. Is the value determined by the input, as in the tech that goes into it, or the output, as in what you get to play on it? Because if it's what you get to play on it, it's probably not worth the money.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think I actually think this is a bit of a nail in the coffin. Again, not because the individual price of the components of going into this isn't worth that. I'm not saying that. I just think that price point doesn't allow people to get involved, and therefore, if you don't have enough out there, and the problem is you got the likes of PSVR competing. They compete with other with the Meta Quest 2 and stuff, rather than. I genuinely think they need to come together and say, look, we're not going to do this. Mm-hmm. We need to be co-developing things. We need to be co-pushing into things because we need to combine our user bases.
Yes. Sony only do exclusive, buddy. They don't do it inclusive stuff.
Yeah, they do. They do want to be the main players, and good luck, because I really hope VR does take off. I just think, unfortunately, this is a bit of a nail in the coffin, because I think they could have really done something here. But
for me, it's just check back next generation, basically. See what VR looks like then.
I think that's wise. I think that's wise for people like us. But I'm pleased for anybody who wants to get involved with it and thinks it's for them, because I'd really like to hear about it.
It's a shame, because I think I would absolutely love VR.
I know you've said that, haven't you?
Yeah. It's such a shame. But there's no way I'm going to... I wouldn't spend more than £200 on something like this. So that's a long, long way away.
Yeah, that's the issue is you wouldn't spend more than £200, and you're never going to get anything for £200 for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe in 20 years' time.
Yeah.
There you go.
But never mind.
Yes,
never mind.
Well, and this, by the way, is where I mentioned last week, where you had Kirk discussing Daddy Phil talking about Xbox not being able to avoid price hikes. Well, we now have a bit more info on that. In that Microsoft have Daddy Phil again has said that they lose $200 on every Xbox console they sell.
Ooh.
So,
yes.
Yeah, and I mean, the exact quote for this, which is from an event at the end of October, is that consoles as a business model in the overall scope of gaming is fairly small relative to the places people play. Consoles evolved to a business model much different from phones, where consoles are actually sold at a loss. So when somebody goes and buys an Xbox at their local retailer, we're subsidising that purchase somewhere between $100 and $200, with the expectation that we'll recoup that investment over time through accessory sales and storefront. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't new news, at least not to me. Do you not remember we talked about the original Xbox dropping money out the door every single time?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, not new news.
Yeah, I don't think, or it's not surprising news. It's just sort of been brought into the open. And we have heard before that most console manufacturers are operating at a loss, with the usual exception of Nintendo, then, who just don't do that, do they?
No, nor with their games as well. They like to really keep the value in those games.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You can buy
nice
a game that released at the point of the Switch on day one, Breath of the Wild, and that will still cost you £45. Top dollar. Not come down a pound.
I mean, it really is going with the strongest reality wins, isn't it? It's just going, we're saying it still costs this, even though everyone knows it isn't really.
Great game.
But it works.
Great game.
Yeah.
The point on this though, so Phil Spencer's been saying a lot in different interviews recently. I mean, our news was dominated by it last week, and he's saying this time that we've picked up. They're saying everything out in the public in order to make it more likely that the Activision deal will go through.
Yeah.
So everything that they're saying is conducive to the video game market is going that subscription model. Like, we don't make that much money. We're in second place. We need to compete. This, us having the Activision stuff isn't going to make us dominant. Like, all of this stuff. Like, he came out and said, obviously we said last week about he wants to keep Call of Duty. If there's a PlayStation around, he'll keep it on a PlayStation. That type of stuff. That at this point in time, they're thinking this deal is now in jeopardy to an extent, not hugely, but I'm sure it'll go through. But they need to be saying the right things, and things like this is another saying the right thing.
Yeah, it's very similar to what we talked about last time I was on, or maybe just before that, where the PlayStation boss was doing their job by saying their doubts around it.
Absolutely.
Phil's doing his job and saying the reverse.
Yes, they're just playing their roles in the theatre. Yes. That's what they're doing. Now, they're doing their job.
Exactly. Now, my favourite part of all this, though, was a comment further in this event where he just offhand said people can play video games for hundreds of hours. And the context there was about the price of games, which I know you talked about last week, and the changing prices of it. But I just really liked that comment, because I was just there like, maybe that's true of console games, buddy, but check anyone's Steam list and there's thousands. People get into games.
Well, you say that, Pete, but I think probably less than 1% of gamers play games for thousands of hours.
Football Manager, then. Football Manager.
I just don't. Yeah, that's a franchise though, over fucking 25 years.
Still one game, really,
yeah, that is true. That's a fair point. But yeah, I think to get hundreds of hours out of a console game is quite impressive.
Yes, definitely. I just liked the way it was said, as if that was the top of the range. It's like, no, my friend. I've seen people.
Yeah, well, if he said 1,000, if you had 1,000, you people going, what game have you played for 1,000 hours?
Is there a way of seeing how many hours you've got in like an Xbox game?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Is there?
I've played 24 hours of the new Call of Duty.
Jesus Christ!
Full day.
It's only been out a week.
Yeah, but that's full time. So like when we say like Football Manager and RimWorld and stuff, all those stats are inflated. Like you're not playing all that time. So it's
that's why I'm interested.
1,000 hours in there, but it's actually 200 hours.
Because I reckon there's going to be some of my Xbox ones that are 1,000 hours,
and they'll be more representative because when you've got a controller in your hand, you're generally playing
the game.
Yeah, rather than like it being on your computer and you doing other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, right. Move on to my story then. So this week, the video games industry Twitter legend Nibble or Nibellion has quit Yeah, he's quit Twitter.
Yeah.
He had a following of 450,000, and he was a regular breaker of industry news. He wasn't a leaker. He was just a guy in the know, and he was letting other people know. Like, I used to... anything he said was always like gospel.
Yeah.
And if he said something, that was it. Anybody else like saying, "Oh no, this is what happened." No, if he said it, well, that's just how it was. He was known for that. And he said, after some introspection, I've made the decision to focus my time and energy elsewhere and move on from Twitter. This marks the end of my video games coverage and my active participation in the platform. Thanks to everyone for the fun times. So he wrote a short blog post on his Patreon, which he tried to start, and he criticised Twitter's leadership under Elon Musk, his seemingly infinite immaturity.
Yes.
Nice.
So he said, today I'll move on from both Twitter and Patreon. There won't be any games coverage from me on either platform. I think basically he wanted to turn what he was doing, he wanted to monetize it.
Yeah.
And I think on his Patreon, he had Patreon subscribers to the tune of about $1,000 a month, I think. But for what he was doing and what he was known for, I think maybe the time and effort and what he was doing, he didn't see
the value.
Yeah. He shouldn't carry on with it. So he also said, then there is the elephant in the room, which is the platform itself. I don't think that Twitter has yet experienced good leadership, and the trend will not change with Musk either. I do not trust the platform. I do not trust Musk and seemingly infinite immaturity. I do not think Twitter will fall apart instantly, but that it could die a slow death. Why waste more time?
Yeah.
And since then, Elon Musk has come out and said the existing verified users will lose their blue tick after 90 days if they don't pay $8 a month. Twitter engineers have reportedly been told by Musk to ensure this plan rolls out by the 7th of November or be fired. Which is, I think all of this stuff is like in the media, and you get all a twisted view on Twitter of the likes of Elon Musk, but he isn't coming across well. That's
No, and I think
he's not coming across very well.
Yeah, well, I think also the problem is that these platforms, they're only valuable as long as people want to be on them. So you make one mistake and another platform will just appear.
Yeah. I was actually thinking this, and I know other people who, on my timeline anyway, have been vocal about this. I mean, about where to go from Twitter if Twitter was no longer the place. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the verification, and if you're not verified, then you won't appear on people's timelines and things like that. Like you'll basically kind of diminish in what happens. So, and how much of that will be true, I don't know. But you're right, Pete. It's about who uses it, and there's a lot of talk at the moment that people might be moving on, and he's an example of this. And if I use Twitter for news.
Yes. Like
that's primarily, like, obviously if we didn't have a podcast, would I be on Twitter? No, I fucking wouldn't. I wouldn't. Like that's the answer, because I don't do any social media, and I don't think you do. I don't think Eddie. We're just not those guys usually.
Yeah.
But
games.
I do enjoy being on Twitter, especially for the news or people's opinions. Like I get to hear things that I don't usually hear in my own echo chamber by talking to you two.
Yeah.
So it is actually really good, but would I be on it? Probably not. So I don't know. Like it's an odd one, but this is the start of maybe things to come, or maybe it's not, and it's an overreaction. So, but it is a shame though, because he was really good. I really liked whenever he put anything out. It was always meaningful.
Yeah.
What's he doing now? Do you know? Like, he must have a way of. He can't just step away, can he?
I think he had. I think the
permanent.
opinion is that he's just not doing this anymore. I think he's just going to go and live his life.
Yeah.
do his actual job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if he's going to move to YouTube or anything like that. So kind of maybe watch this space. But
Yeah, but there was.
yeah, it's just a shame.
There was something else as well as Patreon and Twitter he was doing, which he canned as well, didn't he?
Oh, Discord. Yeah, he started up a Patreon and started up Discord. I think with a view to maybe moving to monetization, and then kind of probably got the people signed up that were going to sign up, and then but he refunded everyone on Patreon.
Yes. Yeah.
he just went like, okay, well, that's. I think if he could turn it into a real job, maybe he's just trying to turn it into something that could pay him an income, like a proper income, not a side hustle kind of thing, and then kind of legitimizes it all, doesn't it? But it's just a shame, and it's just Twitter isn't necessarily the best place to be monetizing stuff, but it is a very good way to getting your opinions out there.
Do you want to send that message to Musk then? Twitter isn't a good way to monetize things.
But that's why they're trying to do it in different ways, aren't they? But I just I hope that it, because it is, as much as I said, like, we wouldn't be on it if we weren't involved in it, but also I would never have given it a try. And actually, gaming Twitter is something that I happily log on to every day. I happily read through, I happily get my news, get people's opinions, and it can be quite a good place, and you just don't want that to really change massively.
I don't like change. Yes. No, I get your point.
Wasn't Donald Trump saying isn't he funding a new one?
Trump made his own called Truth Social.
Oh, there you go. Let's all move over to that.
Which has barely people on it.
I don't even know any social media. I mean, I know this is being said on Twitter itself, but if anybody knows what's going to happen and where we should go, where we should also be setting up a profile, let us know. Because I don't know anything about this
MySpace?
Stuff, so. MySpace,
back to MySpace.
MSN? Does MSN still
MSN Messenger? I used to love that.
Right. Rather than just aging ourselves dramatically in the ears of our listeners, shall we jump to the new releases?
MSN Messenger. What a beautiful
I
thing.
remember MSN, but dear God.
It was a beautiful time, guys.
We're
It's
old.
a beautiful time.
We're old. All right, new releases. Say all games coming to Xbox Game Pass. All right, Ben. Right, that's the instruction.
Yep.
Right, Game Pass coming out this month.
Do as your boss says. Come on.
Nice. Monkey Island, Football Manager, the new one. Ghost Song, Pentiment, Tiang Ding. Am I doing that disservice?
Close enough.
Thank you. Vampire Survivors, nice. Somerville, we'll talk about that in a bit. Football Manager again, because there's a console version and a PC version. The Walking Dead, A New Frontier, and The Walking Dead Michonne?
Yeah,
Michonne, sorry.
I have
That's
no
her
idea
that's
how
her
you
name,
say
innit?
the name.
Michonne. No,
Have you not watched Walking Dead?
I have, but I can't remember. How did
I
they
watched
say
up until the bit where they got to the prison. And then I...
Michonne, I think, comes in maybe slightly after that then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm terrible with names anyway. Might have already come into it. But let's move on to the new releases.
Okay, so they're all coming to Game Pass in November.
Yeah.
That's
the key part of that, yes.
I've already said that.
Thanks for doing
That's the takeaway.
that. You know.
I've already said that. I said it at the beginning.
Okay.
What do you want?
Okay. Just a little bit. It's fine. Moving on.
Right, God of War, Ragnarok, coming out on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, November 9th. That's coming out on November 9th. That's coming out on November 9th. Embark on an epic and heartfelt journey as Kratos and Atreus struggle with holding on and letting go. That's a very simple yet effective blurb. I like that. This obviously is the huge one of, well, I would say the week, but probably of the year. It's already a 94 on Metacritic. Have you seen that?
I have, yeah, and it's got like 120 reviews. It's more reviews than I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's going to be big. Ben, have you pre-ordered it? Have you?
I have pre-ordered it.
Yeah,
I have pre-ordered it. It's coming Wednesday. Yeah, I don't usually do that because I usually just pick it up physically. But I'm trusting the postman to be delivering this one. Because it is, I think I got it for £62. Obviously, it's £70 RRP, but I got it for £62.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
My hype has built quite substantially in the last couple of weeks. Now the reviews have come out. Like now, it is universally, like, critically acclaimed. This is. There's no doubt that this is going to be a fantastic game. And everyone is going to be, every man and his dog cannot wait to play it, it seems, from what I've been reading. And I'm up there with them. Like, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. This is what I was saying with Sonic. Sonic Frontiers we had in our last week's new releases, because that actually comes out on the 8th, which is tomorrow for us. These two games for me are, they kick off a fantastic month ahead. Yeah, the two big games as well. And we'll be talking about it next week. And
you know what did upset me was so obviously I went through all the reviews and whatnot and saw everyone's opinion, and the amount of 10 out of 10s or 100%.
Yeah.
And that really pisses me off, because that means this game is perfection.
It doesn't, though. Well, it might on your scale. I don't think a 10 out of 10 means perfection.
I feel like 100 out of 100 is some might say perfection.
No, because in my mind, the bar is set below perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. Like, perfection doesn't ever exist. So basically, if you say perfection, you mean I'm taking points out the scale by saying that. If you say that because nothing can ever be perfect, so therefore I can never give 100. Okay, well, why don't you just readjust the scale so you can give 100? Yeah, great. So I've done that. It's. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, it's some effective mental gymnastics, but I do get what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think you can have a scale where you just go, "Oh, I ignore the top because the top is impossible." Right? Okay, great. So you've got to allow for 100% in my eyes, and especially because a lot of reviewers give it out of 10. I mean,
yeah.
So if it's over 90, if it's 95 or over, they're rounding up.
Yeah. Okay. Not a fan of it.
Okay.
Talking about how a game cannot be perfect, let's move on to the next one. City Bus Manager, coming out on PC November 10th. There's your 100 out of 100. Build your own bus depot from scratch and create your personal bus routes in a City Bus Manager. Play your own hometown or any famous city in the world with real map data. There is a caveat to that. There's nowhere in China, but there you go. We'll save that for later. Buy buses, maintain them, take care of your staff, and lead your bus company to become the number 1 town. So it uses real world data, which is incredible. You manage employees, employ and fire and all that. There's base building in it, of course, with building up the depot, making it bigger as you grow. There's route management. This game, well, it's perfection.
Yeah, Eddie. So, because I don't know if this is the same across the country, I have no idea, but the main bus company where we live is called City Bus. So, we could be in our home city with real map data.
That's what it says.
Be City Bus.
Yeah. Have you already bought it, or are you going to buy it now?
I need to wishlist it, don't I? At the very least.
Mine's already on the wishlist.
I do have Bus Simulator 2018. I have that purchase. I've already paid that. Yeah.
Pete, I want you to chime in here. Are you going to buy it immediately, or are you?
I don't think there's any point
game of the year?
talking about this, boys, because I'm never going to get near it.
But this is
because it's going to be sold out everywhere.
This will be in Game of the Year discussion, Pete. So I feel like you have to.
Even if it is, even at that point.
Eddie, you've pre-ordered it, I take it,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Fine,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
look forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible.
I love the fact that you've cut out some of the other blurbs, but you kept one in for City Bus Manager.
Of course he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, their developer, they do some gems. They do.
Honestly, it actually looks as a business creation thing. It looks quite cool. I think it looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. Well, I feel sorry for the game coming after this. What is it?
I feel sorry for God of War.
Imagine that. Well, I guess at least people will buy God of War, then they'll see City Bus Manager the day after and go like, "Oh
yeah."
my
So
God.
they'll get the sale. God of War gets the sale.
That's all.
That's
all PlayStation give a shit about. So they'll get the sale, and that's fine. Everyone will be happy, and then everyone plays City Bus Manager. Lovely.
Yeah.
Right,
fantastic.
Next one, Dying Light 2 Stay Human Bloody Ties DLC, coming out on the consoles, November 10th. Yes, a DLC. It's got a new location, a new story, new weapons, and new enemies as well, apparently. It's a bit weird. Ben, I assume you are far too busy to be getting a DLC in Dying Light 2.
Absolutely, and I didn't actually complete Dying Light 2 either, so no, so not for me, but I know plenty of people actually it might be arguably their game of the year. Dying Light 2 for some people really resonated and was really, really quite something. So this will do well, I'm sure.
I almost bought Dying Light 1 the other last week when I was in.
Very good game. Very good game.
Yeah, almost did, but
cheap as well. Cheap.
Yes, not too bad.
Eddie's
Eddie's no, it's still a bit too much. I think it's like £12 or something. It's a bit too much.
Oh yeah, £12. So that's a rookie price. You can get it for way lower, I'm sure.
Right. Well, not 86p like the game that I bought this week, so I won't worry too much. Right. Moving on. Fabular. I'm going to say that. Once Upon a Space Time. See what they did there? Because it's not Once Upon a Time, it's Once Upon a Space Time because it's in space. Yeah. Coming out on PC November 10th. I'm not going to read the blurb. It's like a top-down action roguelike. The UI looks really nice, but it could be really, really boring because it's got the same mechanics as a lot of those old Sega games. So, do you guys like this?
No, I actually think you summed that up pretty well there.
Yeah, I think you summed it up quite well. I do think it could be quite good, but I don't think it's going to get a look in on many people's gaming list this month.
Right, yeah, fair enough. Next one, Lunastice, coming out on PC, Switch, November 10th. I'm not going to read the blurb. The reason why I'm not reading out these blurbs, listeners, is because we got another rammed week this week.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. This game, though, it's a retro 3D platformer. It's like the main tags. One of its highest selling points is apparently that it's cute. The graphics look really quite bad, but that's because I guess they've gone for that look. There's a free demo on Steam. There you go. That's the best I'm going to say about that game. But we're getting to another absolute gem. Pete's favourite kind of games. Yep. It's a simulator game. This one is Police Simulator Patrol Officers.
Please coming out doing the blurb here though.
Coming out on PlayStations and Xboxes November 10th. Welcome to Brighton. Join the police force of this fictitious American city and experience the day-to-day life of a police officer. So this upset me because I lived in a city called Brighton for several years. And then I thought, well, maybe, American developers and everything. No, there are numerous cities in America with Brighton. Yes. There's one in Michigan. There's one everywhere. So don't know what they're...
It's like Springfield, Eddie. There's loads of Springfields, which is why The Simpsons used it.
We even have one where we live.
Yeah. But I did love that they picked the name Brighton. I did also think it's very bold of an American game maker to say experience the day-to-day life of an American police officer.
I see what you're doing there, Pete. We're not going to get on those political issues.
We're not going to jump in there any further, but very bold. Yeah.
It's been on early access on Steam since June 2021. It's got very positive on Steam as well, the reviews, so that's a really good sign. You deal with car accidents, parking regulations, emergency call-outs, to finding drug dealers or graffiti sprayers. So I think what they're trying to emphasise on it is all the gameplay I've seen has been actual simulation stuff, like literally getting out the car and putting cones down.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So it's very much a simulation game. Don't get this thinking it's fucking GTA. But yeah, it still looks quite good.
It does, yeah. It looks nice.
I thought I was just going to hear Pete saying no.
No, it looks nice graphically as well. And you know me, I love a simulator. So if you are like me, which I'm sure 90% of people are, simulators will be big on your list as well. But it's a big month, so you're going to have to squeeze it in.
Yeah, exactly. Right, next one. Steel Rising. Cagliostro's Secrets DLC. I know I've missed one, but it's the same date, so get over it. Coming out on PC and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I don't believe that, but that's what Pete's put, so fuck it.
I think it is, yeah.
All right, fine. November 10th. It's a DLC. There's a new main quest. There's new side quests. A new level. A new boss. New enemies. New characters. And more. There you go.
So this is the Souls-like that came out in September. The cool-looking Souls-like that we talked about then. So,
already getting DLC.
Already getting DLC. Almost phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it might just be one of those where it's cut content where they finally finished it after release. But then that suggests
or just cut it and then release it. No, and it also like it's just building on its own hype because I think it did quite well, and I reckon games should do that with DLC more often. I don't think it should be like fucking 9 months later. Like your game's gone by that time. Like we've moved on. A lot of us have moved on if we've played a brand new game at that point. Like it's nice if a DLC comes like 3-4 months down the line. Yeah, fucking, or 2 months in this case. Like fantastic. Yeah, let's do it.
Fair dues. All right, next one. Shadow of the Guild coming out on PC November 10th. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up adventure game. Normally I shit on these games, but it's got like a cool hand-drawn art style, which I think looks really good. I reckon you two will like this.
I do like the art style.
Yeah.
Although it kind of reminds me. Do you remember the old Aladdin game?
Oh God, yes! Wow, what a game that was!
It reminds me a bit of that in some of the imagery you've seen. Anyway,
I see your point.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting one, but I'm not going to be in any rush to play it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just think there's loads of games that look like this, play like this, do this.
Yes.
Such a hard market to really tap into. So good luck to him, but. Yeah, it's hard.
All right, next one. Tactics Ogre Reborn coming out on PC, PlayStations and Switch November 11th. Interesting there's no Xbox there. Tactics Ogre, crown jewel of the tactical role-playing genre, is reborn. Based on the 2010 release, the game features improved graphics and sound, as well as updated game design, bringing to life a new Tactics Ogre that remains true to its roots. It's a Square Enix game. It's got Octopath Traveler art style kind of look. It's got grid-based tactical combat. I thought I'd include that it's fully voice acted just to piss Ben off with this Pokemon. I have never played any of these games, but I've got to admit I don't know how I haven't, because it looks right up my street. Have either of you played any of these games?
I mean, I played Final Fantasy Tactics, but no, not really.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this game. Because we had it announced months ago, wasn't it? That this is getting like a remaster type game version of it, and I hadn't heard it at the time, and I still didn't really know much about it. But yeah, the price that it's coming out at is ridiculous.
I was leaving that for later. Yeah, £40.
Yeah, it's almost like not okay territory.
Yes, and
in my opinion,
I will also say. Saying the graphics are improved on it, it kind of still looks like a 2010 game.
I know, it's almost like it's just getting a release.
Yeah.
It's just getting it's just cleaned up. It's like fuck, £40. I think that's horrible.
I did read something from the developer, and there is loads of new stuff. Like they've reworked a hell of a lot of stuff. Like they've completely redone the AI and stuff.
Okay.
There is a lot of work that's gone into it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not justifying it. You know me, I would never ever pay that sort of money for even the best of games.
To suggest.
Well, that is good. Yeah. That is good then. Yeah.
So there's that, but £40 is an insane amount of money for that kind of game, which is a shame. But I've got it on my wish list, so you never know, might come down. Next one, Valkyrie Elysium, coming out on PC November 11th. Long ago, Ragnarok, the end times, loomed upon the realms. The All-Father Odin, with the last of his strength, created an emissary of redemption. Valkyrie, her sole task being the salvation of a doomed world. It's another Square Enix game. It's the latest title in the Valkyrie series. It's a high-speed action RPG. It kind of looks like a JRPG, but won't go into that.
Well, it is, and I tell you what, it fucking looks like a Square Enix game, doesn't it? Yeah. Like every Square Enix game.
You always say that.
What is with the Viking fetish in the last few years, though, guys? Like, everything seems to involve Vikings. This week is particularly bad for it, obviously, because we've got
this week is a Viking week.
So much stuff is using Viking mythology. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but there will be fans of this series, this franchise, or what have you, and all that, and JRPG fans are eating good, aren't they? They're always getting new releases, but fucking hell, for someone who's not a massive JRPG fan, they do all look very similar. Like it's very hard to differentiate, isn't it? I mean,
I don't know. Don't reinvent the wheel, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, they say what so well, they do well. A lot of people love them, and I'm not knocking it in the slightest. I'm just saying, when you're not all into them, it's hard to pick them apart. It's hard to pick good ones. It's hard for us to say what's good and not.
Honestly, so many times you could put the pictures up and give me 5 different titles, and I would get every single one wrong.
Absolutely, I get that. And I watched a video on this, and I was like, "Yep, looks like one of those."
Yeah, it does. It definitely looks like one
because
of those.
you know what it'll be? It'll be a 60-hour game. I'm sure people will get a lot of value out of it. I'm sure it'll be very good. It'll have a similar story trope. There you go.
Yeah. Fair dues. Next one, Solasta, Crown of the Magister, Inner Strength. Do you need 3 titles? DLC. It's a PC, Xbox game, November 14th. It's introducing more previously loved classes and subclasses and a new ancestry. There you go.
I can't remember what this game looked like, but I know it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it looks like a kind of a Baldur's Gate turn-based game.
Yes. Oh yes, yeah. It looks a bit. It's a turn-based. It looked like a turn-based Diablo to me.
It does have a bit of Diablo about it.
Yeah, I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those. It costs a lot of money, so I'm never going to get it. But it's I think mine and Pete kind of game, really.
It is. Although I will say,
like it as well.
I've just had a quick look at it actually to have a look at this DLC again, and I will say the character models do haunt my nightmares. From this
yes, I don't know why everything looks so nice about this game, and then the character models look awful.
Oh, do they look tragic? Do they?
Yeah,
the environment design is gorgeous, and then you see the actual characters, and you go,
it's like fucking Ben. It's like Mount and Blade when you played it, and you had a heart attack.
Like fucking Pete. It's like a Plague Tale.
We'll come to that, Ben.
Nice private joke for our audience to be.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Save that joke for later. Right, next one then. Bravery and Greed coming out on PC, PlayStation, Xboxes, and Switch, November 15th. Bravery and Greed is a beat 'em up. I hate it when they do that. Roguelite dungeon brawler for up to 4 players. Choose from 4 classic fantasy classes. Engage in a deep, robust combat system and play a variety of cooperative and... Pete, you fucking type in and I can't see because it says Peter Frost above it.
I'm not.
What does that say? Can you read that out for me? Competitive game modes with friends via local, online, or both. Get rich or die trying. That's a 50 Cent reference, right?
I don't know why they're. I don't think they're not consciously referencing
I think that
50
came
Cent.
before
Surely,
50 Cent.
obviously we reference
okay.
50 Cent with it though.
Yeah, isn't Get Rich Die Trying? Isn't that the name of his album?
Yeah, but I don't think he's the first person to ever suggest it as a thing.
I don't know, but that's like his term. Surely it wasn't like before. No. I'm saying that's 50 Cent.
You're not having it. Eddie's not having
I'm not having that. That's 50 Cent all the way. No,
well,
not having that. It's a Terraria kind of art style. It's a sideways scroller game. There's a free demo, by the way. It's you know what? It's funny because it looks like Terraria and all those kind of games. Terraria.
Yes.
Terraria. I am not going to shit on it, but what do you guys think?
Well, it's Team 17 as well as the publisher. So Worms, etc.
Does it look like Terraria? I didn't.
It does look a bit like Terraria. Yeah. Yes, Terraria is the one I would have said.
Yeah, I thought it looks exactly like it.
Yeah.
Really? Let me have a goosey at this. I didn't think that.
Goosey gander. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Are we just going to sit here and wait for Ben to?
Okay.
I think that's the intention.
Images.
I completely agree with you.
Doesn't it look like fucking Terraria?
It does.
What are you talking about? Of course it does. Are you looking up? I'm going to have to look up Terraria again now.
This is quality content, boys.
This is what people came for.
Like Terraria.
No, it doesn't. Terraria's basic as fuck.
Right, Ben, if you just type in Terraria and probably underground. Let's go underground.
I've done it. I've already concluded that it's not like it. Well, it broadly
Right.
is, but this is so
I want
much
you
more
to type
detail.
in Terraria Underground and look at the images on Google Images. Now look up
I want you
Bravery.
to just say Terraria.
What's the word from a few weeks ago?
Type in
Malevolent.
Terraria Underground. It looks nothing like this game. Right. Anyway, move it on. It's fine.
Okay,
I've
for
concluded.
everyone who doesn't know, it looks a lot like Terraria. I'm assuming it plays quite a bit like Terraria.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
it probably does.
It's a fucking beat 'em up roguelike.
Nah, probably plays exactly like it.
Oh my god.
Right. Yeah, that's
You
all I've
guys.
got. 50 cents turning in his grave.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it's not Pete.
Very good. Eden Gate, The Edge of Life, coming out on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox November 15th. Explore the deserted city of Eden Gate and follow a young scientist's emotional journey as she searches for hope and solves the mystery of what happened to her and the world. This is a third-person casual story-based game. The graphics look really nice, but like all these kind of games, it kind of is all on the story. And obviously, I don't know anything about the story, so
I thought it looked like it could be a horror, but it's not, is it?
no, it's like a casual game. They describe it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think this is going to get lost in the mix. But yeah.
You never know. If it's a really good game, then people might talk about it and people might get it because of that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's tough that it's coming out this
It's
month.
sort of-
I get.
It made me think, Ben, it's probably more like Life is Strange type thing.
I did
Yes.
think that, Pete.
Yes.
I did think that, but I didn't know the actual gameplay wise whether it. But it does have that Life is Strange kind of feel to it.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're interested in that sort of game, this one might be one to look at.
That's a good comparison. Yeah.
I think this wouldn't be a bad game to watch someone streaming it.
Could see that, yeah.
There you go. There's my comment.
Fine if you want to stream it, Eddie.
If that's what you want to do on Thursday.
Yeah, if you want.
Very good pick.
If you want to pay it for me, then yeah, absolutely fine. Next one, Floodland, coming out on PC November 15th. A society survival game set in a world destroyed by climate change. Explore, scavenge, and build a city to unite the clans. Conflicting cultures and limited resources mean you need to make tough choices. Have you got what it takes to lead your people into a new era of humanity? This is City Builder with a twist. It's got the same visuals as a lot of the other kind of games in this genre. Surviving the Aftermath comes to mind. This looks pretty much identical to it. But it looks cool because of the old flooding. It actually looks quite nice. I'll be honest, I've already wishlisted it because I think I could really enjoy this game.
I thought.
What do you guys think?
I thought you'd have this on the wish list straight away.
Yep. Yep. It's on that beat.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those. I think the art style, everything around that looks really good. Again, good lighting goes such a long way, doesn't it, in any game?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, picking good photos when it's pre-release is also a very good way to do that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I immediately thought this was a U game. It's clearly going to be a
100%.
focus. It's basically base building, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I honestly, I will probably keep an eye on it myself because it does give a bit of RimWorld vibe as well in terms of potential gameplay. So
Yeah.
I'll be following with interest with this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all depends on the detail for you, though, Eddie, doesn't it? Because I think the people who play these types of games just need a level of detail to it to keep them.
Yeah, it's how to keep
I'm
the
interested.
immersion topped up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I feel like each one of these games needs to be pretty damn good as well because it's such a packed category that you kind of need something. Like I've had Surviving the Aftermath on my wishlist for ages, and every time I go to buy it, I'm like, well, there's probably actually a better one. Then I always find a better one. So
Yeah.
But it's on the wishlist. I'll let you know if I get it. Next one, Pentiment, coming out on PC, Xboxes November 15th. Who wrote this? Art imitates death.
Yeah.
Pete, did you just write that?
No, so that's literally what they had as their blurb up until about 3 days ago. That was all they had there. That was literally
That's
it.
pretty cool.
I know. It was actually quite amazing.
That's quite scary.
Yeah.
Well, I'll read what they've put now. Step into a living illustrated world in a time when Europe is at a crossroads of great religious and political change. Walk in the footsteps of Andreas Mahler, a master artist who finds himself in the middle of murders, scandals, and intrigue in the Bavarian Alps. I used to live in the Bavarian Alps. Did you know that?
I did.
Obsidian Entertainment, never miss. Historical, narrative-driven game. It's got like a simple tapestry, hand-drawn style. For those listeners, I want you to think, what does Eddie mean by that? I want you to paint a picture in your head of what that would look like. A simple tapestry, hand-drawn style. And then I want you to look up this game. And then I want you to write an email to me saying, wow, Chris, you're so fucking right. That's amazing that you did that. This has to have a good story because everything else about the game looks really, really simple.
Can you describe the type of story that you'd need that you've written down there?
What? Better be a ruddy good game.
Ruddy good story.
A
I like
ruddy
that.
good story. Yeah.
It's got to be a ruddy good story, this one.
Also, didn't spell ruddy correctly either.
How do you spell ruddy?
Yes, there's 2 Ds.
Assume it's
Oh,
double
yeah,
D.
yeah, I've clicked on it. Yeah. Oh, look at that.
It literally
just
suggests...
corrected
I've never needed to type out ruddy before. I apologise.
That's fair. Yeah.
I didn't want to put like fucking or something on the doc, all right? Just trying to be polite for our children that listen to us.
We did establish last week that children
Yes.
do listen at the start until they're told to go to bed, so yeah.
Have we told them to go to bed this week?
Kirk didn't tell them to go to bed this week, so...
Because I opened
still up.
with a swear word as well, so it's all gone downhill.
Oh,
Jesus
you did,
Christ.
didn't you?
Good job we've got a ruddy good podcast. But
Very good.
Pete, do you reckon you're going to play this? Because I think of the three of us, I think you could be the only one that I think this may actually appeal
It is
to.
on my wish list.
But it's on Game Pass,
Oh,
day one.
Oh,
Of course
yes, I
it
forgot
is,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, because you know
Yes,
when I
it's
asked
very
Eddie to read
likely.
out the games on... You know what? I asked Eddie to read out the games on
Yeah.
Game Pass at the start of this, you know? It goes
was
goes
there.
full cycle, doesn't it?
It was there. Yeah.
Guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I
Yeah.
probably will play this then. Yes. Now, you're right, Eddie. I think it will
Excellent.
need a big draw in terms of its story. I do like they highlight that your choices make a big difference in this, because that's always a good way to get me hooked into something, particularly replayability-wise. So, interesting.
What do you guys think? If this wasn't made by Obsidian, and then secondly, if it wasn't on Game Pass, no one would ever look at this because of the art style and things like that.
I completely agree about the Obsidian. I think if it wasn't for Obsidian, everyone would just think it's a terrible, terrible game.
It's one of
Just
those,
looking
isn't it?
at
I
it,
think
you
it
know.
would be one of those ones that gets like a dedicated following of about 20 people. If it wasn't
Yeah.
Obsidian. So
But it
I
could
am
genuinely...
interested to see.
But now we're thinking this could genuinely be a good game
Yeah.
because
Yes.
it's Obsidian.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
could. And the other bit, I do like it when they try something a bit different. And I do think the art style and everything about it is attempting something a bit different.
And is this the only Xbox first party game?
What?
Obsidian are first party Xbox, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
So is this the only first party Xbox game of the year?
I think it might be.
This is Xbox's game of the year.
Very good.
They've got a very small
Very good.
window to improve it, haven't they? Yeah. Yeah. Oh dear.
Good. Look forward to hearing about it.
Game of the year. There you go. Next one, Smurfs Kart, coming out on the Switch November 15th.
Didn't I colour this one? God.
I'm not a colour anymore. I'm a reading it out and not reading the fucking blurb. There's 5 lines of it. There's no way I'm doing that for Smurfs Kart. It's Mario Kart with Smurfs. You probably could have guessed that. You can choose one Smurf, its kart, and a special power. There you go.
Good.
Ben, you gonna get it? You're a Switch boy.
Well, back when Mario Kart 8 was killing it and then re-released on the Switch and killed it even more and sold 1 million copies, everyone out there must have gone, oh, fuck, we really need to make a kart racer. So then Crash Team Racing came out, and you've had the fucking Nickelodeon one, and there's numerous different ones. Now there's Smurf one. Like, I can't wait for Xbox to do one. Like, they've probably got one in development.
Is there
Master Chief booming round.
Is there a Marvel one?
I can only imagine it's in the pipeline.
It's
Eddie.
in the pipe. Someone's creating it.
So yeah, here we go. Here's another one. Oh, there's Garfield, isn't there? There's Garfield.
Is there? Oh,
I think so.
that's cool.
I think so.
Nice. Lovely.
Anyway, yeah.
Moving on. Somerville coming out on PC, Xbox, November 15th. Also Game Pass Day 1. In the wake of catastrophe, you must find the means to make your family whole again. Somerville is a sci-fi adventure grounded in the intimate repercussions of a large-scale conflict. Ooh. Same visuals as that Fox game that you loved, Ben.
Yeah, Endling. Yeah,
Endling,
it's really interesting you say that, because when I looked up this game, I thought exactly the same thing. I got those Endling kind of vibes.
Yeah, very much so. It's like it's quite dark and gritty as well. It looks
washed
out.
Like yeah.
I think it looks like it could be really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to find time to play it. I think it looks like it could be exceptional.
Agreed. Pete?
I thought it would be a Ben type of game.
Oh.
Okay.
No, in the good sense, Ben, not the Nintendo Switch game.
Yeah.
As in, it's
Right,
one of those where I thought you would like it, as opposed to I went, oh, it's a Nintendo Switch game.
I feel like that was a bit of a backtrack. Is that because we've got our 1-to-1 coming up?
Nice.
Ben, we don't have one. Yeah, you know what? Move on. Move on, Ben. Move on.
Don't talk like that to your line manager, Pete.
Come on.
He's
Pete.
not my line manager, Eddie.
He is. Fine. Next one, Siberia, The World Before, coming out on next-gen consoles. November 15th. Embark on a quest for identity through time as you piece together the puzzle of two lives. This came out on PC in March this year. It's an adventure puzzle game. The visuals look really nice. The soundtrack is supposed to be amazing. The composer is Einon Zur, who did Prince of Persia, Dragon Age, Fallout. Nice. Fucking good. Yes. The reviews are fucking good for this game. Have you guys... you know what's funny? I typed this into our doc, and we've never talked about this before, even though it came out in March.
Interesting point about Siberia. I think I own every game in the series apart from this.
Wow.
And I've never played a Siberia game.
Oh. That was... You took me on a roller coaster then, Ben. I respect that.
Yeah.
Why haven't you played any of them?
Game.
They look really good.
I know. That's why I own them all.
What?
They're rainy day games that you've never got around to.
They're rainy day games that you never get around to. You've all got those, haven't we?
You know what? I wish I just literally, because I bought this game for 86p because then it's my rainy day game. So yeah, I wish I could take the piss out of you right now, but I cannot.
What was the name of the game that you bought for 86p?
Atom RPG Trudograd.
Excellent. Okay.
You heard of that one?
I think
I haven't
we talked about this at one point.
I think so, yeah. No, I've had it on my wish list and the one prior to the game for a couple of years, and the reason why I put them on is because apparently the first one is a ruddy good RPG. So
yeah, and I think
I'm very
we
excited.
talked about this last year, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Because I even
actually,
said this
that
was
does
like
look quite
an Eddie
good.
game.
It does look like an Eddie game. Immediately, it's a base builder, city builder.
Yeah. I'm curious how you got it for 86p, but fair enough.
He likes a deal, does Eddie? He likes a deal.
I like to keep my eyes out. I have two lists right on my phone. So I've got my wish list on Steam, but to put it in perspective, the reason why I don't really... Let's just look. I think I've got probably...
10,000 games.
90. Exactly 90 games on my wish list. So obviously I can't go by that. So what I do is I have two lists on my phone. I have games that I would like to play. That's probably like 20 long. Yeah. But then I have games looking out for deal list. And that is every 2 weeks or whenever I'm in Game Limbo, I'll go onto all the websites and I'll try and find all of the games that are on that list on a deal. And then this game came up on 85% off, 86p. Lovely.
Lovely.
It is mad. I mean, the image I had of it was you like trading shady suitcases in a back alley somewhere to get it that price.
Well, several people had to die for me to get it at that price, but we won't go
Right.
into that.
Okay. That's something. Quite something.
Last one, Modern Warfare 2 Battle Pass, coming out on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox is November 15th. Ben?
Yeah, going to drop coin on this, obviously. And I expect you to as well, Eddie.
Okay. Is that because
expect you.
Warzone?
Yeah. Because of Warzone and that. You've got to be involved from the outset, I think. If it's anything like the last ones, if you bought one battle pass, you always earn the coins to buy every other one.
Yeah, I noticed that. So you might as well
just buy one for $5, and then you've always got one. And Pete, we bought the Halo one, didn't we? And we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good fun. Gave you an extra.
It just adds another dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just gives you another dimension to care about.
The Modern Warfare Battle Pass, do you not think, Ben, that it won't... I really liked the Halo one because it gave you targets, didn't it? You had to
it
kill
did, but at
people with
least
certain things.
Yeah, but at least the difference in Call of Duty and Halo for me was that in Call of Duty, obviously, you get your own guns, and they have previously always given out blueprints and stuff like that along the way, and unlocks guns and attachments and stuff like that for you, and it's just more interesting than Halo, which is purely cosmetic.
Yeah.
You get like XP tokens and all that kind of stuff. But with Halo, it's like, well, we're all using the same battle rifle. We're all using the same assault rifle. And at least this does give you an extra dimension, or has done previously. So let's see what's in it. But if it's the same price as usual and it's the same type of content, then I reckon it's a no-brainer if you're like us and can be playing various forms of Call of Duty for many moons to come.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now that we've learnt that there's a Escape from Tarkov type version coming out at the same time as Warzone 2.
Yeah. That's going to be huge for me. Yeah.
It's quite exceptional. It's called DMZ. So you get Warzone 2 and you get that coming out on the 16th of November, the day after this Battle Pass. And that's going to be exceptional, I'm sure.
Is it a part mode, or is it like its own game? So like, do you have to install that separately?
So I think, Eddie, that you download the free-to-play Warzone 2, and of that, it is a game mode within it. So like you'd have Rebirth and things like that. I think one of the game modes within it is something called DMZ. And if you're listening to this podcast today, there is a live stream, I believe, of DMZ this Wednesday. To kind of showcase what it's about, and it's being kind of advertised as a Call of Duty Escape from Tarkov. So and it's on the same map as Warzone 2. So, yeah, I think it adds another kind of single-player, multiplayer game that you could do with your friends, and it's a completely different method of, it's an extraction looter, which is what Escape from Tarkov is that Eddie's talked about before. Yeah. And it's a different type of shooter. It's a totally different type of game. So, and it's a game that I think I could actually enjoy as a single player, as opposed to something like Warzone, which I would never play.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm guessing, by the way, then, because obviously I don't look at anything to do with Call of Duty at any point. I'm guessing it's DMZ for demilitarized zone, and therefore the idea
possibly,
is that you're getting out of the demilitarized zone.
Yeah, I mean that's a good shout. I don't know specifically, but I imagine that would be a fair shout. I mean, but it is an extraction looter is different to what you'd associate with Call of Duty in general. So
absolutely. I think one of the big gaming leaker people said it's the very first Call of Duty where there isn't a team win. There's no winner, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Every single your own win, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Every Call of Duty's always had a catch the flag or whatever game modes. There's always a winner, but this isn't. You never win. You just
the idea being it's a risk reward, and if you die, then you lose your precious gun that you're carrying and such. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Looks very cool, and the marketplace. The marketplace is going to be important, just like it is in Tarkov and everything. So
yeah, exactly. Because you won't it's all well and good having your best weapon that your favorite with, but that's going to cost a lot of money, I assume, to put together. So therefore, in Tarkov, I very often just carry an AK-47 around me.
Yeah,
with no scope, no attachments. Yeah, just because it's cheap as shit to pick one up on the market, and it's a fully automatic weapon. So, if I do come across someone close range, at least I'll stand a chance.
Yeah, spray and pray,
and the AK-40, the AK-47 in the new Call of Duty is it's called something else, but it's pretty meta at the moment. So
meta, yeah, nice. My pick of the week. It's going to be Floodland. I know there's some big ones out there. I know that,
Oof.
but I don't know. I like my little indies, and I think I like the look of that. Don't get me wrong. City Bus Manager was up there, but I thought Pete might not join us for the rest of the podcast if I said that. So.
Yeah, I was hovering over
it.
the exit button. Yeah, that's totally fair. But no, I think Floodland is a very good choice. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on to what we've been playing, and I mean, obviously, I've been away for 3 weeks. You'd expect I've been playing quite a lot, and I have played a fair few things. But the one I wanted to mention, because I was really annoyed I missed the episode when it released was Plague Tale Requiem. Because, I mean, I've only actually been able to play it in the last couple of days. So I've played the first 2 chapters, Ben. And I just thought I could sort of give my first impressions and see how they match with your...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so... You're immediately interested in the narrative, I will say. That was the thing from the last one that kind of pulled me in a bit, was your talking about narrative. And that does draw you in straight away. It does look good. It does sound good. And you do get sort of world immersion very quickly. In that the first chapter is sort of loosely a tutorial, isn't it? It's not, but it sort of is. And even in that, by the time you've entered the ruined castle place, it is like, okay, I feel like this is a place. I feel like this exists. You sink into it pretty well. And then, of course, you start to see enemies, and the character models for the enemies are a little bit, let's just say meh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would extend that a little bit beyond the enemies when you actually look.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the enemies in particular stood out because I went, these look exactly like the dudes from Witcher 3, which is 7 years ago. And compared to the rest of sort of the graphical elements, that was a bit of a hang on a minute, what's going on for me?
Yeah.
But the long range visuals, the actual environmental visuals, gorgeous. And then the overwhelming thing that came up for me in these first 2 chapters, though, was how insanely gamey it feels. How mechanically speaking, how gamey it is.
I hate that.
Yeah, I found it really difficult, Eddie. Like, you pick up a knife, you use it once, and you can't get the knife back. It's like it's literally there. The guy just dropped an axe as well, and you can't touch that either.
Oh, I hate that.
It's
just immersion breaking for me.
I know, and I mean, obviously I'm a bit of a history buff and did a lot of battle history stuff, but they seem to think a sling is pretty crap, which, as it's your main weapon, is a bit weird. Like, there's literally a point in the game where she goes, he has a helmet on, I can't do anything. It's like, aim for his kneecap, or,
Right, fucking hell.
his leg. You could hit him in many other places. You've been headshotting guys without helmets on. You can hit him somewhere else, and slings hurt, man. Like, they hurt.
You can hit them somewhere else, though.
Yeah, and it does
you can
absolutely
do
nothing.
it.
They just kind of
They do hunch
flail
over
for a moment and then come back at you.
Hunch over.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, they just kind of go like, oh, you've bought yourself 2 seconds of respite, and then they come at you again. So it just immediately feels very mechanic-y, and that sort of broke through all the good work they'd done on establishing some immersion. I found the alcohol and sulfur, which are 2 early ingredients you find. Like, they talk about how explosive and flammable they are, and then they're stored together in the chests every time. And you're like, that seems a bit... I mean, these... What? So it was all this sort of stuff stood out more than the actual game, if you get my point. And that was a bit disappointing for me. The immersion was immediately broken. It's... At least for what I've played so far, it also feels very much like a puzzle game, just that you're using action and dynamic movement as opposed to solving puzzles, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, the good things about it remind me of Thief, which I loved as a game.
You loved that.
The bad bits drag you out of that quickly, and rather than playing as a badass thief with an interesting backstory, you're playing as a teenage girl and her 4-year-old, 5-year-old brother. Like, I'm not big on the child characters thing, so that didn't help either. So
yeah,
it's not been as positive as I'd have liked it to be. I'm not even sure how much I'll go back for.
I think everything you've said is very fair. I do, and I agree with it almost entirely. As I've said, the story is the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is, and you have to be invested in the characters. I don't know if you watched a summary of the prior game before playing this one, because I think that's very important.
See, I probably should have done that. I felt I had enough to go on, but possibly not.
Like, I think what is important with this game, I think, is having an emotional connection with the characters. I think your point about the world being very immersive because the environments are built very well. Yeah. Like, the environments look very well. I personally think the character models, like the first time that I turned it round so I was looking at the character when they were speaking, it was like, oh god, this is terrible. Like,
speaking is such a difficult bit to get right, isn't it?
It is, but so many games do it right, but the hair on these is atrocious.
This, by the way, is why so many female characters have tightly braided hair. Because it's so much easier to do. Loose
stuff. But the game does look nice. Obviously, it was weird because I do, as I said, I think when I first talked about it, I do remember when the PS5 upgrade came out, and I originally played on PC, which I was spoilt with because that looked amazing in comparison to the console version. And then when I got the PS5 upgrade for the other one, I also thought that looked very good. But I wasn't too sure about this, to be honest. But forgetting that, I do think, the gameplay stuff. You're so right, and that's for me. It's the letdown part. Like, it is very gamey. Yeah. It is very, very gamey. Like, you're constantly going around the world just picking up the same items. Like, there's sulfur everywhere. There's alcohol everywhere. Like, it's just very weird. And as I've said, it is very basic mechanics gameplay. And I think it suffers for that in a way because this game is about, I think, 15, 16 hours long. I think it's about that. And for this type of game with that type of gameplay, that is a bit of a tough knock for me personally. So in the last week, I've played a couple more chapters of this, probably about 60% way through the game. But this is a huge month of games.
Yeah.
This is a fucking huge month of games. And
you could see it being forgotten, couldn't you?
Absolutely, because in my mind, I had to play this before we've got these bigger games to me coming out now. Yeah. And because it's on Game Pass, I didn't physically pay money for it. And that does make a difference in my selection, in my mind, of what I should be playing. And I think I will finish it in some time, but every time I get to a new section which requires gameplay, I'm like, oh fuck. Like, I like the story, but it's getting to that point in the game where I'm like, you get to a new part, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, and it does try to evolve its gameplay from the first one, and that it very much does, but it's not really that interesting. Yeah, the gameplay was.
See, partially this sums up why I like games like RimWorld and Stellaris, which are renowned as war crime simulators. But the first thing I noticed in Chapter 2 bit was obviously the rats return, which, spoilers,
yes,
not really. The rats return. And you're there, like, lighting up braziers and things. And I was just going,
yes,
people are aware that rats burn, right? Like, rats literally catch fire quite easily. They're quite greasy animals. Why are you not making use of that when there are literally so many of them that they're layered on top of each other?
Well, it's again that game stuff. Yeah. It is incredibly gamey, and it's like, okay, well, there's and you kind of forgive all that because the story is so good. Like, the story is really, really good, and that's why I've said on several occasions that the sum of its parts doesn't represent how good this game is. I think the game itself is greater than that because there's something that works. You don't mind that lack of immersion. You don't mind these things here and there. Like, you don't mind that the gameplay is actually really quite basic and the puzzles are basic and annoying, if anything. and it's that, but the actual story pulls you through, and it's just a very weird game. Like, for that, and I don't really know what to make of it. And I think I think if I got to the end of it, you'd get this really massive story payoff, and then you probably walk away. And I think I said this at the time. You probably walk away thinking that's a 9 out of 10. But the majority of the game is a 6 or a 7.
Yeah. So I will say, Ben, I do think the narrative is the key element here. The problem for me is this is one of those games where in about a year's time, I will watch all cutscenes compiled from Plague Tale Requiem, and that'll be all I'll need.
Yes. Yeah, and you'll go, wow, that's a good fucking knock.
That's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, and
it's a 9 out of 10 game if I've ever seen one.
Like the ones from games like StarCraft, by the way, where you can watch all the combined cutscenes, they're fantastic when you do that. But those games are strategy, so they kind of needed it to do it that way.
Yeah.
This one, a little bit more inclusion within the gameplay might have helped for me. I will also say it was a killer for those moments of quotes, like when, as I was saying, that the quote she had about "I can't do anything, he's got a helmet on," was swiftly followed by a moment at the start of chapter 2 where she roams into a market with her little brother, and he says, "Oh look, swords! Wouldn't you like one of these?" And she's like, "No, swords are for killing." And I'm like, "All right, love. Like 5 seconds ago, you strangled a guy to death with a sling, like literally choked him out."
It is weird because I think you're supposed to make choices where it's like, oh, I don't want to kill, but I was killing everyone indiscriminately, and then it's like, and then it talks as if you're not doing that or whatever until it gets to a point where it's like she goes a bit insane and just kills everyone.
Chapter
but
1,
yeah,
I actually,
I actually do like the fact that you are playing someone who is more frail and beatable. I think that adds to it, and I do like that element, but it does reduce the gameplay somewhat.
So this, by the way, is what I loved so much about Thief, though, Ben, was because in Thief, you were vulnerable to anyone in armour, basically. That was the point. It made, so any guard who was fully armoured, you were just like, I cannot engage that guy up front. It's just not going to work. Because you're so lightweight in comparison. But you could still sort of buy time and get away.
Yeah, well, there are a variety of techniques that you get in this game. You get so many different methods of setting people on fire and putting out fire so the rats get them. So, and you can kind of make them explode up and stuff, and you can even tell other people to kill them later on. Like there's a lot of different mechanics going on, but essentially it still boils down to what you're seeing in chapter 2.
Okay.
It's I don't know. Like, I think it's an excellent Game Pass game.
Yeah, definitely. I would say value for Game Pass is really good with it.
I think it's an excellent Game Pass game, and the only reason I'm being critical of it is because of and that it is this is a huge game, and there's no doubt that it's a good game. I'm not saying it's not a good game. It's just that I'm comparing this against this is a potential, like, let's discuss this for Game of the Year. It's not on my list. Okay. So that's what we're saying.
Okay, that says a lot. Fair. I don't think it's going to be on my list either, I won't lie.
Yeah.
Now, before we jump back to you two, I did also want to point out, Eddie, I'm really sorry I wasn't here last week to talk Kepler.
And the week before. The week before was when I wanted to talk about it. But I was like, all right, I'll wait for next week till Pete gets here.
No such luck. But it's a good game, though, isn't it?
It's good.
Yeah, much like you, I've been playing RimWorld lately as well. And Kepler did make me go, I kind of want to play RimWorld. And I thought last week actually made a really good comment about it being like the closest one to what you want from a RimWorld like one, but not quite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've played a million of these games, and a lot of them within 5 minutes. You know what? Even do you remember Going Medieval?
Yeah,
was it Going Medieval?
I think so. Yeah, was
that the one? Yeah. Going Medieval. I was so looking forward to that for years upon years, and then I bought it and I played it, and after 2 hours, I went, wow, this is nothing like RimWorld. Well, it's exactly like RimWorld, but RimWorld does it way better. So the fact that even Perth coming along, wow, yeah.
This was it. And I thought actually you hit the nail on the head as well with the biggest negative about that game is that the people who come to your colony don't do anything. Like,
I just think with the introduction of that mechanic, why didn't they? Someone's obviously made that decision and gone, let's do that because people will like that you've got a home base that you share with other people. I'm shocked that they just didn't go one small little bit further and go like, let's just, say they have to have certain things, or maybe they help you out and you can take them with you, or I don't know, you have interactions with them.
To guard the place, so you don't have to constantly be diving back there, or making
even like I don't know. Yeah, like put guard posts up, and then they can just stand on the guard posts and like defend. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just there's a few little disappointing things about the game, but hey, for an indie game, you got to give it. Give it some credit, haven't you?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed playing it, but it does just end up taking you back to RimWorld.
Yeah, but to be fair, every game I've ever played does that. So, what do you want?
Yeah, understandably so. Well, what else have you been playing, Ed?
Yeah, well, that takes it nicely to me. I've been playing a shit ton of RimWorld. Just playing a lot of RimWorld. You know what's quite interesting is I haven't got the new DLC, as I discussed, I think, a couple of weeks ago, that I don't like that it's 20 quid. I've even gone one step further, and I never thought I'd do this. I've actually disabled one of the DLCs. I've disabled Ideology. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've kept Royalty. I don't mind Royalty, but like Ideology, just like it takes over your whole playthrough, and everything's about it. Like, oh no, people don't like my Christian faith, and Dave's a cannibal, so no one likes Dave, and it just pisses me off. So I've actually disabled it, which says a lot about the because like I've never disabled a mod, for God's sake.
Yeah,
but
what's this? So I haven't disabled the full thing, Eddie, but there's an option in New Game where you can just say don't have inactive ideology.
Okay.
So I've just set it to that, because you're right, it does take over, but I still like some of the other additions.
But I don't like that people come in like I assume people can when they join your colony, they're still of a religion, aren't they?
No. Well, they are, but it has no impact.
Okay.
Yeah, which
that sounds good actually.
But it means you still get the new buildings and furnishings and stuff like that from it, which I quite like.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe that's what we're doing actually. Then.
Yeah, I'd give it a go that way. I've also been playing a lot of RimWorld, obviously.
Nice. Yeah, Ben will love to hear this. But no, to be fair to me, I'm playing Tunic.
Oh yeah.
Only because Game of the Year is coming up, and Kirk says it's going to be in his Game of the Year, so I want to play it and obviously rip him to shreds. But I want to rip him to shreds, factually. I want to be able to.
Yeah.
Yes. But I've only played literally an hour of it, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to give it a bit more credit. So far, it looks gorgeous, but it plays shit. I've also re-downloaded, I should say, Elden Ring, because
lovely.
I have no doubt that's going to come up in Game of the Year discussions.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna play that game, and of course, I've bought that 84p game that I've had on my wishlist for a while. So. On top of that, obviously I've been playing my my golf game, whatever that's called. I've been playing Rocket League, I've been playing Warzone. Yeah, but none of them I've been dedicated to. But hey, I'm playing Tunic, I'll be playing Elden Ring.
I think this is great because a bit gaming limbo it sounds like, but you have got a few games to clean up before Game of the Year.
Yeah, so I would say I'm in gaming limbo, but I'm not. I haven't got the sorrow that brings gaming limbo with me, or the necessity for me to spend a lot of money on a game, because I'm in gaming limbo, but I don't mind being in gaming limbo because I've got games that I need to play for Game of the Year and for this podcast and to talk to other people about. So yeah, I'm in gaming limbo, but I'm not mad because I've got games to play.
Is this
no preparation for Game of the Year is a lovely thing to do. I think
is this my excuse to play Elden Ring again and claim I was doing it for Game of the Year?
Yeah, perhaps so, because we're going to have a lot of people. If anything, if Kirk joins us, he's going to be the only one that hasn't played. Because for our listeners as well, this is a bit of our first time we're mentioning it, actually. Christopher Love, aka Deadbeat Punk, is going to be joining us for the Game of the Year show, which is going to be excellent.
It's gonna be
it's going to be quite something. He's going to bring a new dimension. He's obviously hosted the show before, so I really look forward to that. Game of the Year. We're prepping for it now. We've got to get prepared.
Yes, indeed.
Well, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. Shall I just... Yeah, the only other thing that I've been playing this week is Modern Warfare 2, obviously, the multiplayer. But I'm not going to say much more on it. I love it, actually. I absolutely love it. I think it plays fantastically. Just leveling my guns.
Have you played the campaign?
I played a little bit and then I went back to it. So I played a little bit, obviously, when I talked about it last week with Kirk and yourself.
Yeah.
And I went back. The only reason I went back to the campaign is because during the campaign you earn XP tokens. Double XP and weapon XP for
I see.
multiplayer.
So you can level up your shears.
Yeah, so you can level up quicker.
Cool.
But I wasn't. I thought campaign would be something that I'd be so into, but I just want to play the multiplayer. I can't be doing with it actually. So yeah, I'm just playing that, but I fucking love it. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Cool.
Never thought I'd say that. But
I am surprised.
that is where I'm at.
Has Splatoon just died a death for you then?
No, I still play Splatoon.
Okay, good.
Still play
Just wanted to
Splatoon.
make
Still
sure.
play. Yeah, I'm loving my shooters actually. Yeah, nobody would have thought that. And then we play Warzone as well. So yeah, can't move for shooters.
Just a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but there we
fair
go.
enough. I mean, bit of a bitty week for all of us then, isn't it? A bit of
Yeah.
Yeah,
lots of different games.
but now it's moving on, isn't it? Now it's moving on to the big games.
Exactly.
Well, for me anyway.
Yes, hugely so for you. For those of us without PS5,
Yeah.
slightly less so. But yeah. But we should also move on into our feature, shouldn't we? Because
Yes.
it sort of ties
That's
in
right.
because some of this was started by Plague Tale, wasn't it? Which
It was. Yes.
and of course, what we're going to talk about here is the hyperbole around graphics in gaming. And
Yes.
let me hand over to you, Ben, to start this off.
Well, this kind of came about because Pete and I were speaking on the phone, and I started ranting to him about about graphics in games. So I recently bought a Series X. I upgraded my Series S, and first of all, I'd say I'm very glad I did. I love it. Just I like having the Series X, and it's obviously allows you to have physical media and all this kind of stuff, which is obviously a plus, and it's got a bigger hard drive, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. The reason I got it mainly was because people were gushing over the graphics of various games.
Okay.
I thought,
Sorry?
gushing over. Yes, but that's what they were doing over the graphics.
Right.
And so that I have a great fear of missing out. You know this. I love to spend a bit of coin on a video game and console and things like that. But I always had the Series S because I thought, you know what, I only need a Series S. I only need one. So I got the Series X, and I play on a 4K monitor. I play at my desk predominantly, and I was wondering kind of what the difference would be. And I would say that the difference between a Series X and a Series S, it is there, but rather than criticizing the Series X, what I will say is that the Series S is a phenomenal machine, because unless they're side by side, I really don't think, if somebody just changed the consoles overnight, I don't think I really would have noticed the difference, honestly.
Okay.
It's quite something. I do think that Series S is a phenomenal machine. And you could say that recent weeks have said that it's holding it back and things like that, but and that maybe they're catering to the lowest common denominator. But my God, it's superb. It's not the massive jumping graphics that you might or grunt that you would think would then produce something much better on your screen. At some point, you're going to be limited by what your screen is, but my screen is fairly decent. But I think maybe on a smaller monitor, maybe I don't get the full impact. But the reason I was kind of prompted this way is because of what people say about video games. And I've said this a number of times about when people say how gorgeous and how stunning games look, and they put these screenshots up and stuff like that. And I sometimes I just find it a bit crazy. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I do find it crazy how much people exaggerate how good games look. Like, I'm not saying games look bad, I just say they and it always disappoints me when I play, and the Plague Tale was the perfect example for this. A Plague Tale is a nice looking game, it really is. It's a good looking game. Pete, we've discussed the environments, they look lovely, don't they?
Absolutely gorgeous environments, yeah.
They do. Gorgeous. But I do think the character models have a lot to be desired, and I just, people described it as the way people were putting it across, and this is reviews as well. It's like it was the fucking second coming. And it's just not true. It's just not fucking true. Like, they're fine. It's good. But unless you play on a PC, a high-end PC, graphics on consoles, they just look good. They look nice, really nice. But they're not this fucking otherworldly thing. And it it was one of the main reasons why I bought a Series X, which I'm still pleased that I got. But it's just not. It's not this massive thing. The Series S does enough, and maybe it is because I play on a monitor and I don't play on a TV. But this then got us thinking: how much do graphics actually matter in video games?
Yeah, it did, and it's I mean, obviously, it's one of the things we mentioned in Frankenstein when we're creating our own sort of monstrous game.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, how much do any of us really value graphics? And I think of the three of us, Ben, you're probably the one who values them most.
Yeah, definitely. That's what's shocking. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm sad that Kirk's not here because I think he values it, but
I think Kirk probably values it higher than Ben. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about graphics. You know what? I'm actually gonna say I'm gonna object to my own comment there. I only care if it seeps out the immersion juice. You know, if it's so bad. Or there's something so obvious that the immersion juice, just
leaks. If it leaks, if it leaks juice.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay, so if it leaks and gushing within a couple of minutes of each other is troubling imagery. But I think that's a very fair point, Eddie, because immersion or suspension of disbelief, at least, was kind of where how I responded to Ben. And how I think it works. Think of games like Skyrim. Think of The Witcher, Cyberpunk, Halo. These games where for a moment you don't care that it's a game. You just go, yeah, awesome. Eddie, Oblivion, when you first come out of the dungeons, or Fallout 3 when you first escape the vault and you look out. It's normally a big vista. I imagine they're the easiest ones to do. But you go like, yeah, this feels like a real place, and for a second you feel like you're there. And
P, I think what you're saying there, like for me, a big example of this recently is Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Because Elden Ring is not like I'm gonna try to choose my words carefully here, but it's not fantastic to look at, but it is fantastic to look at. Like, it's what it does, and it
was that you choosing those words carefully.
Yeah, that was very poorly selected. I don't have words. Look, the world itself draws you in, and I've said to you as well, like everything is so crafted, like every section of that game is so fantastic. But graphically, I mean, Demon Souls remake looked better. Obviously, that was FromSoft, and the other one was whoever made the remake. But there are much better looking games out there. But the immersion in Elden Ring was perfectly good enough.
Yeah.
It was...
See, this is the bit, because I've looked at Demon Souls a few times, Ben, because I was really excited for it beforehand. It was one of the games I was going to get if I were to get a PlayStation 5. And I've looked at Elden Ring, and there's also, I think, there's different things people look for with their graphics. For you, for instance, I think a lot of it is character model.
Yes, I would say so.
And we have some...
But also presentation. I'm a big cleanliness of presentation. I don't like RimWorld. I think looks great.
Very clean.
Like, because it's clean and the presentation's good. That's what, and I like my immersion like that. I think character models are important as well. That's where immediately I went to with a Plague Tale, and and you see the mouths don't match up, and actually, well, I think that's actually a little blurry there. It's not so great, and that's where I'm nitpicking. Yeah. Like, I am nitpicking. I'm only nitpicking because people are saying how great it looks.
Yes.
And there are other examples with video games, with Forza and things like that, where people are like, oh, this is the greatest thing that's ever been on a TV screen. Okay, well, I don't know if I'm not looking at the same thing.
Yeah, but
it looks wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not having a go. I'm just saying it's not as good as everyone is. It's like this crazy, like almost virtue signaling, but in a different way. I don't have the right word for it.
It's sort of holier than thou about it, isn't it? It's that...
It is. It's weird.
I mean, I want to use another one and say getting on a high horse.
But it's not quite any of those things. But it's I don't know what someone's doing with it.
But for some reason, people seem to think it makes it superior. Or that you're starting to feel like it's as good as the real world. And it's like, no, you're really not. And
Yes, and if somebody hadn't have mentioned that in like the playtest, I would have just gone, "Oh yeah, it's great." But I focused on that at the start, and I was like, I was playing this game to start with, and I didn't think it looked, because the lighting was really bright, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, like is this what? This just isn't. Why is that my first thought? I should be like, oh, I'm playing this game that I'm really looking forward to, not everyone said this looks amazing, and I think it looks just good."
Yeah, and
and
this
you shouldn't be doing
exactly. And this, by the way, I'm glad you raised RimWorld, because if someone talks to you about RimWorld, and by someone I mean Eddie generally, or me possibly, the first thing they'll say, normally defensively, is it's nothing to look at, but you know what I mean? And then you actually see RimWorld and you go, oh, this looks much better. So I suppose being given that layup helps RimWorld and hinders Plague Tale quite a lot.
Yes.
And it's, if everyone tells you it looks amazing, you're bound to nitpick from that moment on and go, oh, well, the hair doesn't.
Yeah.
The hair looks terrible. And my God, it does at points. Dear God, in a Plague Tale especially, the hair does look a mess at points compared to everything around it. But
yeah, because like Ben, you didn't go into playing the first one with much. I remember you were like, "Oh yeah, I got this game and it looks okay."
Yeah,
and you thought it looked stunning, didn't you?
I did. I honestly did, and because I was playing it on PC, obviously, and I genuinely thought it looked really nice. And that's, what I thought when I first loaded up Plague Tale Requiem. I know this probably isn't true, and it's just because I remember things differently and all this kind of stuff. I thought the first game looked better.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? How crazy that my interpretation of how things look has been so warped that I've said that because I've been expecting something.
I mean,
I'm
good. I'm kind of wishing our feature had now been on how receptive Ben is to outside information. Because
I'm an advertiser's dream.
I was thinking of advertising, and then I was thinking like a reviewer says something, and Ben immediately sets out to disprove it.
No,
doesn't mean
I'm
to.
awful. I'm absolutely awful.
But for me, it was the immersion point. I think is there's those games, and I would include a Plague Tale in this, where the graphics, even the character models, don't do anything to break my immersion. Think Cyberpunk as well. Graphics were never something that broke my immersion. There, AI broke your immersion.
Fucking Cyberpunk broke my immersion. Holy shit!
Look, Eddie, just
furry people everywhere.
At the time you were there, right? That's just
it was so furry.
But for me, for instance, playing on a PC, I experienced no issues from that until people started walking out in front of your cars or police teleported behind you. That's AI. That's not graphics. But it's what breaks your immersion is the key there. And I think there's plenty of games where they look, or they're said to look great, because that's not a thing that gets your immersion. That's not the thing that's going to make the juice leak out.
Yes, I think that immersion point is the biggest point, and games can do that without looking the best.
Can.
Like, it's just how they world build.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Games like Kepler, as well as RimWorld, they don't need good graphics. Kenshi is one of our hidden gems from a long time ago. And it looks
bad.
That does look tragic.
But it doesn't bother anyone who gets immersed into that game, does it?
I mean, it bothered me a little bit.
It's not your type of game, Ben, generally.
Yeah, it's seriously bothered me.
And actually, I'll include Dwarf Fortress in there, by the way, as well, because I remember loving Dwarf Fortress, and it's literally lines and dots, the original Dwarf Fortress.
But I think your point, Pete, which I think is making me think about it. Like, I think it is true, because graphically, I am a bit of a graphics person. Like, I do want things to look good. However, what I actually want is just the world to be immersive enough to get me in, and that's why I loved Elden Ring. I never ever have I bitched about Elden Ring's graphics.
Yeah, no.
That's just not a thing, because to me that world is fantastic.
It is, and this is it. Even when you say that Demon Souls look better, by the way, the reason I counterpoint that is because for me personally, I look for
Bluepoint. That's who made Demon Souls.
Yes, but Demon Souls, too much of it's inside for me.
Yes, a static environment.
Whereas I like the big.
Absolutely.
That makes me feel more like it's a real world. You see what I mean? So
yes.
So I think there's a different thing for different people to find, but it does. All of this brings us back to that point of why do people think it's so important to talk about the graphics as if they're groundbreaking? Like,
I think it's the idea of progress.
It is, and I think it's possibly it's become so incremental that they have to harp on about it even when it's only a tiny change. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much have the graphics on games improved in the last couple of years?
Well, if you go back to like The Last of Us, I still think The Last of Us 2 is one of the best looking games I've ever played. Yeah. And that's quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, and I mean, I still think there's plenty of games that still stack up from 3, 4, 5 years ago where you'd be hard pressed to see a dramatic difference, you know?
Well, look at God of War 2018.
Exactly.
That's a very good looking game. Very good looking game. Still looks very good looking to this day.
We made comments a few weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago, about how you could make a video like they'd made for the new one from the previous one. That's how close to
we'll find out how if the new one just looks pretty much like the old one. And that's not a bad thing. We said that. But yeah.
But it's... I mean, I feel like we're not going to reach a satisfying conclusion with this feature, guys, but it is one of those of people are desperate to talk up graphics as if it's groundbreaking every time. And
I think it's the thing that everyone thinks that is a good game. So, like, even the FIFAs now, always, you see the screenshots online all the time of this is what the new Messi looks like. Oh, look how amazing he looks. And I think maybe for the casual gamer, maybe graphics are important. Maybe they play it and they want that, you know, it to look as good as possible. But for someone who, like me, and this is quite bad, I guess, when I see a game that's got really good graphics, I actually think I go the opposite way. I go, the fact that they've chucked in so much money into making their graphics look so good, where's the downfall from that?
What has lost out on funding?
Is it not going to be very layered? Yeah. Is it not going to be very good written? Mm-hmm. You know, there are so many other things that enter my head instead of, amazing graphics, it must be a world-class game.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just negative. And hey, look, graphics never affect me so much. Like I think I've got 3 screenshots saved from all my time of gaming. One is of when I got a hole-in-one on the golf game, which is the only one I've ever got. No. One is of the space game, you know, world famous. I've forgotten the fucking name of it.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, when I built my first house and it was on this beautiful place. And another one was from Medieval Dynasty when I came out onto it. My point from this being is when I have a beautiful moment and I go, this is stunning, I'll take that screenshot and that'll be it. I won't continue going, this is amazing, this is beautiful. That has hit me. I therefore know the level of the graphics and therefore it won't continue to amaze me. I will just be happy at that time and then I'll move on. So the graphics really, to me, do not matter, like, at all. As long as it's not so bad that you realise that you're playing a game and therefore it becomes a problem. But even then, I give it credit if it's like a strategy game or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I think actually this draws me back to a tired cliche of saying don't judge books by their covers. And for me, graphics are the cover. Like, that's all they are. And anyone who's going onto Twitter or going into reviews to sort of wax on about them, you're not looking at the right thing. Because does anyone really value good graphics above good gameplay?
You shouldn't.
Exactly.
Whoever answers yes to that question, you're wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Pete. I think from what we've said, I think the immersion part is the biggest thing, and if that comes from gameplay and world building, that is the most important thing for me.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. I think that's about as satisfying as we're going to get, isn't it?
We're all agreed again. Yeah, have you noticed these days we're becoming more agreeable with each other? That's weird.
Well, we are an echo chamber, and as much as we like to disagree with each other
but
on
Ben,
a personal
you're normally
level,
the one that's against us.
I think we've actually beaten him down for over 2 years.
I think so.
I think so much more like you guys than I did at the start. Like, I really, even in so much as God of War came out, and I had to kind of convince myself and hype that I was like, well, it's a pretty linear.
Yes.
And I was like, come on, Ben, this is your bread and butter, mate. This is your fucking hanging around with these clowns.
I saw you got RimWorld on the wish list, Ben, and I was like,
Does he?
Yeah, he does. He does.
Oh, shit.
Oh, you guys.
happening.
We're going to have to bring another fourth in just to balance the scales and get the real Ben back.
That's why Punk's coming to
It
Game
does. That's going to help a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So, if anyone had any sort of wise statements to give us on why graphics are so often talked about, Ben, how would they get in touch with us?
Yes, you can email us, podcast@grumpygamers.co.uk. You can tweet us at grumpygamerspod. We have a YouTube channel, Grumpy Gamers Podcast, and we're on Twitch, 7 p.m. on Thursdays, Grumpy Gamers Podcast, all one word.
Fantastic. But until then, it's GG.
GG.
GG.